Howdy, everybody. Good to see everyone. Welcome to another show. We're going to be covering another, well, this one is a Time Rabbit video. In fact, let me just pull that up right now. I might as well while I'm at it. And it's Darth. It's a long one. I don't know how much. I'm going to play this one a little bit faster so we can get through it, but there's no real context to this one. I'm going to play this at about 1.25 because I imagine with a clip at about 30 minutes, there's going to be some slow parts and stuff like that in it. But I'm guessing this is going to be a lot of rehashed Darth Dawkins stuff, so I think there's going to be big chunks where I'm not going to really have to like belabor anything, but we'll see. Um, I'm going to try not to turn 30 minutes into 30 days. So no real context on this one. It's Darth. He was in his car, I guess, hooked up to Discord, and just decided he needed to vent about and to atheists. So that's it. But anyway, other than that, hello to everybody in the live chat. Congratulations to Peter. He was first. First place does not get you any prizes because I don't have a good channel yet. So sorry about that. And Michael is here. Congratulations to Michael. I don't know why I didn't have you as a mod, but I have made you. I have made you one now, a managing mod. So I know that entails a little bit more. But like I told him in the chat, hopefully he doesn't let that go to his head and just start, ruling with an iron fist. Hello to everyone else in the live chat. Thanks for joining me live on a Saturday. You could be doing a lot of other things. But if you're just sitting around, sipping something slightly caffeinated like I am, it's not bad. So, yeah, I guess we're going to get into this one here pretty quick. Angel Ramirez, he road rages on Discord. Yeah, it's kind of weird to like I try not to do this. Every once in a while, if there's a long enough clip and I can get it to work in my car, and signal is permitting, my cellular signal will allow it, I'll listen to like a YouTube video or something like that just to have it on in the background. Oftentimes it's not great. It doesn't work. But maybe that has something to do with my cell service. But anyway. Well, this is interesting, Reggie. Hey, Jefferson, glad I could catch you while I'm on a flight to Chicago. Are you actually on the plane? Because if so, that's pretty cool. I'm in-flight entertainment. I don't know. That makes me feel especially proud. Now, if you're in the airport, I still feel good about it. Because you could be, watching that airport news, that quality airport news. Okay, so yeah, let's get into this one. I have not previewed this one. At this point, I don't feel that I need to. With Tom's stuff, I trust that Tom usually takes out anything that could potentially get demonetized. So yeah, I think I previewed a couple minutes of it, and so we'll see where this one goes. So anyway, so I'm kind of going into this one in the dark too. Gonna go for it. Activate my present first. Is it over on Discord? Is that where you put it? Let me see if I can find it. If you send it to Discord, it's going to take me a second because it's going to have to run an update. The Virgin Islands. Well, thank you for joining us from the Virgin Islands. How's the weather down there? I imagine it's better than... Actually, the weather up here has actually been pretty nice. So let's see. Yeah, of course. I haven't had this up on my computer in a while, so the updates are coming in fast and heavy. Nope. Don't see it there. Oh, okay. If I click on awesome, now I got to click on it in StreamYard, or do I need to click on it in the actual text? Let's find out where that is. Yeah, it's not letting me click on anything. On the YouTube tab. Yeah, there is no YouTube tab for me to. It just gives me the ability to either go to your channel or pin message, report, all the usual stuff. Put you in timeout. That's all it's given me. It's just the usual stuff. Or to remove a standard moderator, unless that's what you'd like me to do. Um, yeah, I can't. I can't activate it. So I don't see that there's a link there. Um, just click right behind the title. What title are you talking about, Peter? Oh, click behind the title, type awesome, and say whose title? My title? Yeah, I don't understand. Sorry. Click right behind the title and type awesome. I don't know what title you mean. Okay. Anyway, I'll have to ask you about that later, man. I do not know how to do what it is that you're doing. I don't see it, so it's not giving me the ability to do anything. The video, yeah, I get that. Um, no, that doesn't do it. No, it's not doing anything. So okay, remember, I'm not on a PC, so um, yeah, it doesn't let me click behind the word lunatic. I'm not sure what you mean. Okay, we'll have to do this later because I'm not. I'm typing in various different places. It's not letting me click, behind the word lunatic. If you mean like just before the word lunatic and then typing it doesn't let me do that. Nothing happens when I click. Yeah, the only thing that happens if I click lunatic is nothing. If I click it more than once, it just highlights the word. So, so yeah, I'm gonna say that this might be just type the word. That's it. I did try typing the word awesome. It does not. It does nothing. So, yeah, I'm gonna say this might be a difference between something have to do with maybe. Well, I'm using Chrome for Mac, but it should work. But whatever it is, it's not working. Anyway, let's get into this. And yeah, Peter, I'll have to ask you about that later. I'm curious to know what it is that you did, and I'd like to get it to work, but it's not letting me do anything that you're saying to do. Okay.
Hey, Tom Rabbit! I hope you got this for your recording. Hey, YouTube out there. Tom Rabbit likes to record these. Hey, Tom Rabbit!
Look, the atheists, claim they hate me because of my bad conduct, but that's not really why they hate me. They hate me because I destroy their atheism. They hate me because I don't put up with their BS behavior. Now, granted, I'm not saying my conduct is perfect and can't use improvement.
Well, Peter, there does seem to be a flashing icon, like it's flashing like a go-go light here. I don't know if that's what you wanted it to do.
But I, for one, having grown up in a large family, I'm not going to put up with little pieces of crap who show up on the internet overtly trolling, stalking, and harassing me or being abusive to me in a dialogue. I'm not putting up with it.
Yeah, but he's got a track record for not being able to clearly differentiate between people who are trying to interject or people who are trying to forcefully make their point. Maybe they're a little bit more stronger willed, and people who are being abusive or trolling. He thinks that anytime somebody interjects, or if they give an honest, but as he feels misguided, right? If he's charitable, he could say the answer that you're giving me is not, is kind of a misguided one, or it's a little bit cliched or something like that. I don't know that you've thought about that. He jumps to, you know better. I know you know better. You're lying to me. You're a troll. Therefore, be gone, abuser. That's not honest of him. And he just jumps to conclusions, and because of that, nobody has any faith in him. Nobody can trust this guy.
No, that's not opposed to the notion where the scripture commands us to be kind and loving and patient and long suffering, and I strive to do that. But that's not mutually exclusive to telling somebody off who is utterly abusive or engaging in trolling tactics.
Oh yeah, when they troll out, they really good. Like, and you do good at defending the faith about
I want to know where all the atheists are who had balls. Where are they? Show up, talk to me.
He'd be less disappointed. Actually, Peter, I don't see a rainbow search bar. I just see this crazy flashing strobe here, which is really weird. And it's kind of, seizure inducing. I don't see that it didn't change anything, at least on my side of things. I don't see it. So maybe it's coming through on you guys' side. And even if I pull up my, what my live chat looks like, I don't see it there either. So this thing is kind of rainbow colored, but it's also going off like it's trying to hypnotize me. Looks like the Hypnotoad. But yeah, Darth is wondering, where are all the atheists with balls? He has muted them all and banned and blocked them all because they're all trolls.
I've been talking to you.
I had for years gone into the atheist enclaves, and it's the same old routine: dogpiling, catcalling, absolute lying, evasiveness, obfuscation, prevarication. Atheists in general, have shown themselves to be utterly disreputable.
I would
Certainly
argue
not all
against overgeneralization.
Did you hear what I just said?
Yes, I did.
I said that atheists, for the most part, have shown themselves to be disingenuous and disreputable.
Oh, thank you, Peter. This is a neat trick. I would think this would irritate him, but I don't think that. I mean, if he does see it, but then again, I don't think Darth's watching my stuff lately. He's wondering where all the atheists are. Atheists with balls. Like, no atheist with balls can get into any of the shows. He bans them on sight if he recognizes their name.
It's been my uniform experience that most atheists are deceitful and evasive. Some more obvious than others, but it doesn't take long in any conversation with an atheist before.
This is incorrect. Darth's definition of an atheist is that they would. Okay, that's really driving me. Peter, do you know how to get that thing to stop? Because it's really flashing loud on my side of things. I can see somebody complaining to me right away that thing is like driving their eyes nuts. How do I turn that off? Make that stop?
Before they become deceptive, evasive, or disruptive.
That's true, Darth. Yesterday.
Are you an atheist? Are you an atheist?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Never mind. Figured it out. Just repeated it. Figured it was a switch.
In the sense of lack of belief in a Christian God, but yes, or uncertainty.
An atheist is somebody. An atheist. Right away. It doesn't take him more than 2 seconds to change the parameters of what I asked him. Everybody see that? Did everybody see that?
It's interesting that he's blaming this guy for changing the parameters of, like, because I'm sure there was stuff that preceded this, changing the parameters of what he means by atheist, which isn't to change the parameters. He's asking this guy what his belief state is, and this guy, instead of just accepting Darth's binary explanation of what atheism is trying to explain what his actual position is. Darth thinks that he's changing it. The most important thing here, if you really noticed, is that Dawkins asks him about his belief status instead of dealing with what the topic is that he brought up, which is this guy claimed that Darth is and it's a safe claim to make. Darth is overgeneralizing when he's trying to be charitable and say most atheists that I encounter. I would go further and say, no, that's inconsistent with your status because you believe that all atheists are at least lying to themselves. So by that definition, you are always dealing with dishonest people. If you sincerely believe, as Darth describes atheists, then every time you talk to an atheist, you're dealing with somebody who is at the very least lying to themselves. So trying to say that, well, they're not all lying deceivers. By definition, they have to be, per Darth's definition. So he's just wasting time.
Did everybody see that? I asked him, is he an atheist? And immediately he changes the parameters.
Michael, is it too early to start a DD common line drinking game? I mean, probably for us, given our time zone. I mean, it's almost noon, so if you're okay with day drinking, I'm not the boss of anybody. If you're over in in Europe or whatever, maybe you're already getting a few drinks on. So, yeah, I mean, my advice is I can't tell you what to do, but if you are going to try to make a game out of this that involves any kind of substances, even if it's just white bread or Kool-Aid, pace yourself. Pace yourself.
Of the question. An atheist is somebody who denies that there's a God. Okay. I didn't ask you, do you deny the Christian?
Oh yeah, he's saying it here.
I said, are you an atheist?
I didn't ask you if you deny the Christian God. I asked you if you're an atheist. Wilberforce, thank you for the super chat. I don't know how many times I had to tell Darth I'm not a Hindu, trying to get him to stop strawmanning me. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that super chat, Wilbur. This is such a dumb point that he just belabors over and over. And again, he's dealing with this because the original problem was logically he's on bad territory here. He always has been. If somebody's like, yeah, you're overgeneralizing an entire group of people that you talk to. This is a sweeping generalization that you're using, that they're just lying and deceitful. And he says it at the close of almost every conversation he has with somebody who disagrees with him. In fact, he's said similar words when he's had disagreements with Christians. He'll talk about those types of Christians. They're not real Christians, or they're, he doesn't use the word backslidden or anything like that, but we've seen that. Anybody that fails to measure up gets Darth's wrath.
Is there a single word in the entire English-speaking world that designates those who deny that there is a creator God? Does such a word exist?
Well, Darth, the only thing is it kind of depends on your definition.
Did you notice right again?
Okay, maybe for the purposes of a philosophical discussion, but if you're talking about somebody's belief states, you don't necessarily have to get into, if you're talking about the God of classical theism, as sort of kind of classically defined, then no, you wouldn't have to. But that's not taking into account deistic and theistic beliefs from other cultures, where they'd be like, no, I don't accept the single creator God concept as a sound definition for what God is. I'm a Hindu, or perhaps I'm a Zoroastrian. Although Zoroastrian, I think, is basically monotheistic, maybe even more so than Christianity. That's right. Come get me. Or something like, if you believe in like animism or something, something kind of like that, like a Shinto kind of thing. Peter is trying to MK Ultra us. Tell him to okay, now we've got the flashing lights. Now all we need are the hallucinogens as well.
Right away, immediately, I'm interrupting you, as I always do. I'm interrupting you because, again, you're being disingenuous. You have just demonstrated my broad generalization that you objected to. I asked you two questions, and immediately out of the gate, do not ever talk to me. Immediately out of the gate, you evade. You just demonstrated my generalization.
May I?
Romans 1 isn't saying the atheists are liars, Warren. Go read that again. That's not what Paul's talking about. That's just a fundy canard that's used in apologetics nowadays. As sort of like hey, our boy Paul said, this is how you atheists work. Anybody that didn't believe in Jesus is a liar. Nope. Pretty sure that's not what he's talking about.
Speak now, is that okay? Or
no, you may not. No, you may not. And the reason why you're not.
So he's found somebody here with balls, and now he's not allowing him to speak. This is pretty good. He was just crying about how he can't find any atheists with balls. This guy's doing a pretty good job of being like, hey, let me make some points here. And Darth's like, no, I don't want you to talk. Classic Darth. He doesn't even know what he wants.
Is because right out of the gate, you dodged my question. Now, what was the last question that I asked you? What was the last question that I asked you?
Are you talking about before the rant? because you asked if I was atheist.
You see, here we go again. More.
Right, Warren. It's the suppression of truth and unrighteousness does not. Now show me the connection between the suppression of truth and unrighteousness and that they are lying. What does that mean to suppress the truth? And could Paul be wrong? Paul's not the only one that talks about this stuff. Right? Paul also believed that Jesus was coming back imminently. He was wrong about that. So the fact that Paul has something to say about the suppression of truth and unrighteousness, it's easy for Christians to jump and say, oh, well, we've got those verses. Let's go back and find some Old Testament ones and some other New Testament ones that sort of like reinforce us when we can talk about this. But that's probably not what Paul meant. And a lot of what people think about this, there's a tendency for Christians, for modern people now, to think that Paul was ahead of the curve on Freud, that there was a denialism going on, a kind of an avoidance of the. You hear Darth talk about, Darth channels this quite a bit. You don't want to admit to it. You don't want this. Christian apologists have been doing this for years now. No, you don't want to have to admit your guilt. If you acknowledge the truth, it'll be too traumatic for you. What you want is just stay in the comfortable. Your sin and your idolatry. You know, you've become fixated on your family, or you've put your job first, or whatever. Those are, or money first, or whatever. Those are idols that you put in place, and you don't want to face that. And so you suppress the truth and unrighteousness. But they're reading into Paul's teaching there. Paul is talking to the Roman church about the differences between their belief styles and the beliefs of other believers there. He's not talking about the difference between two types of people, believers and non-believers. And that's what Christians usually do. Paul's talking about two different groups of believers. Believers that believe in Christ and believers that believe in other gods. So it's not even categorically correct. Go read your Bible and read a good commentary on Paul. Wait. Also, this is factually and categorically incorrect if you read the scriptures. God doesn't lie. He actually does. He does lie. I encourage you to go look this up. Critical scholars will point this out, that there are passages in the Old Testament that talk about God deceiving people or allowing for a deceitful spirit. That's not true. Well, I know you're relatively new to this, Warren, but you're making a lot of the kind of classic fundy apologist problems. Also, this is not true. If it isn't true, nothing is true. That doesn't follow. Peter, the hallucinogens are a bit held up in the harbor. I'm working on it. But you're from the Netherlands, Peter. That's like a land of harbors. You got some of the best shipping in the world. But I understand that's a complicated network to get through. But all right, so remember, folks, maybe in another couple weeks, yeah, hallucinogen party at the Spatchcock channel.
Disingenuousness.
No, I'm trying
There
to
was no
clarify a
rant.
conversation here.
It was no rant. It was an accurate representation of what you're doing. And again, you're.
Warren, you might want to look into what that means. Inspiration that comes from kind of Christian evangelical sources. When they talk about the Bible being inspired, they're often talking about the passages from, is it 1 Timothy or 2 Timothy, talking about there's a problem with inspired. A lot of people believed it was like beamed in. Christians tend to talk about inspiration as if it was beamed into their head by God. The word in Greek actually means God breathed, meaning it was life affirming or life giving. It wasn't referred to in the sense that a lot of Christians are attempting to impart onto people. So normally what somebody will say is, well, Paul is credited as having written the pastoral epistles, so he wrote this passage in whichever book of Timothy that passage is in, therefore he's inspired to write all the other stuff. But he didn't know that he was writing canonical scripture. He was writing letters, and he didn't write the pastoral epistles. And that's established critical scholarship right there. So he didn't write that passage. There's no indication that he believed that he was inspired by God to write that stuff. So that is a dogma that you've adopted to help you understand sort of a synthesis of the Bible that's not accurate. So I'm tired. I'm sorry to be the one to, the first one to tell you that.
Demonstrating my point. What was the question I asked you?
I can help you out.
No, I don't want you to. I want
He
him to
clearly doesn't know.
humiliate himself. What was the question that I asked you?
Darth, the thing is here, when you became hostile, I tuned you out for the most
Yeah,
part.
and here we go again. He's proving my
No, I just want to have
generalization.
a, I want to have a
true.
nice
Hey,
conversation.
listen to me.
I'm just trying to
No, you
understand you.
don't. That's a lie. If you
Yes,
wanted to have a
is
nice
not.
conversation,
That's not a lie. Darth Dawkins is lying there. This guy, Papa Forrest, came in there completely. He was calm at first. He said that Darth was overgeneralizing when he was given his evaluation of all atheists or most atheists. Darth flew off the handle, and I say all? I meant most, and we've heard him say both. When he's being less charitable, he just decides to make it more sweeping and say all. Thanks for the reminder, Michael. He allows prideful people to believe their own lies. Cool. Where? How do you know that out of the Bible? And is that claim, if you're going to derive that from Scripture in the Bible, is that going to stand up if I go to a critical scholar and say, "Hey," because I've heard this, a million times. If I had if I had a hallucinogen, for every time I heard this statement or something very close to it when I was a kid, I'd still be tripping balls right now. He allows prideful people to believe their own lies. I don't know if that God has the ability to disabuse you of a delusion. It doesn't do it. What does it make that God? Especially if the delusion is leading one to hell. The entailment of a statement like that makes your God into something more akin to the devil. God doesn't lie to those who seek him. That's not true. That is not true. There are those who are built for destruction. They will seek and not find him. They believe that they're saved, but they're not. They're going to find out. That is absolutely not true, Warren. You do not understand what you're reading. You have just been mainlining dogma and apologist sources. These are not good places to get your information about the Bible. That what you're talking about does not line up with a critical reading of the books of the Bible.
you are a liar. You are proving my broad sweeping generalization. You are.
Okay, so now at least now Darth is going for it. You're a liar. You're proving my broad sweeping generalization. He's admitted to making a broad sweeping generalization. Papa has won. He now doesn't have to talk to Darth anymore.
Are a liar. You
I'm
are
just trying
lying
to-
right now
Yes, sir.
because if
I'm
you
done.
wanted to have a nice conversation, you would have answered sincerely my two questions. I asked you in good faith two simple, reasonable questions. And what did you do? You liar. You go, oh, I just want to have a good conversation. No, you don't.
I do.
You immediately resorted to evasion.
I'm not evading, Darth. I'm just trying to
Fair.
clarify so I can make
Okay,
sure.
that's
I'm on
another
tape.
lie. You're lying again. You're
Darth,
a liar.
you won't let me finish
Lie,
the statement.
lie,
And you're making an overgeneralization of my.
Alex, thank you for tipping me off to this. If you're hearing a beeping noise, it's not coming from me because I actually did have this happen to me about a month ago. I did just change out the batteries. The beep's not coming from here. There was a beeping noise. I thought one of my neighbors upstairs had one going off, but I haven't heard it in a while. I think they fixed it. So yeah, I don't know where that beeping's coming from. If you keep hearing it, let me know. But I can't assure you it's not here.
Claim based on what?
If I've heard it a million times, I should take the correction and change your position. Warren, when I heard it, I believed it. I was an active Christian when I heard that all the time. I would actively tell people this. I had internalized this message. It wasn't until I got older, got away from the church, got away from the dogma, went back to the Bible, and started approaching it from a historical perspective, started looking into scholars that had something to say about it, and started having my doubts about these claims. And that's a big one. That is a big one. That God would just allow you to, in your pride, he'll just allow you to just go on your way and just die. He might, but there's some problems with that. And if you think that there aren't, wait until you're probably not in a congregation, right? If you're in a congregation and you run into a new Christian who runs across that concept, it can nearly break them. I know because I've sat and talked with them while they're crying. Did this in my early teen years. You'd have like Sunday school and stuff, and somebody would have a real hard time with this, trying to understand why I got like, what if I'm deluded? What if I'm not really saved? What if God is just allowing me in my pride to believe that I'm a righteous person, but I'm really not? I'm really not saved because I don't want to go along thinking those bad things. You try talking somebody into a position of comfort where essentially you have a statement that lets them know everything that they could think about their salvation, not just everything they used to think about themselves, but also everything they think about their salvation as promised by the group of Christians they're with could be wrong. A delusion they're allowed to persist in because God will allow it. Tell me how you get out of that.
One sentence, because you won't
I
let
will
me
let you
fucking
finish.
talk, and then you complain when I interrupt
you know
you,
what?
bro.
And you know what? I'm about to kick
That's a
you out of the
mutiny.
room. I'm about to. No, I'm not about to mute you. I'm about to kick you out of the room. Why? Because you just.
So that's what that was. I wondered why my TV would flicker every once in a while. It's Peter's fault. Everybody blame Peter.
Supported my broad generalization. You are doing exactly what I say atheists do. Exactly.
No, he's not. At this point, he's actually trying to stand up for his own position, and he's trying to stand up for himself and get the opportunity to get a word in edgewise. And so he is demonstrating what I think most people would consider balls. And Darth is furious about the display of testicles on this Papa dude. So
exactly to the letter.
Do you not think you're
The
being
reason why
loving,
I am
kind,
repeatedly
etc. right now?
interrupting
You're not
you,
being those
the
things.
reason why I am repeatedly interrupting you, because I am exposing you. You are a fraud. Now, we will try one more time.
how is he a fraud? How does being in disagreement with somebody equate to being fraud?
Is there, what were the first two questions I asked you? You see, this is what they do. And
I'm not going to engage in a conversation with you.
Don't engage. Shut up, dude.
I am, as I'm trying to do, but then he continues to berate me.
Shut up.
Which is immature.
Shut up. Shut up.
Okay, I don't know if anybody's seen that episode of. I think it's an old episode of Futurama, and it's a news panel, and they're talking about the poppers, the little baby alien larvae that are delicious, and everybody's eating them. And the vegan is one of the ones on there, and somebody's trying to make a point. He's just sitting in his corner of the screen. Shut up! 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 Oh, Darth. Oh, this is what he's reduced to in his car, yelling at some stranger on Discord to shut up. Space Lord makes a good point here. When I was a kid, the unforgivable sin was the scariest thing in the world. What if God allowed me to commit it in my pride? Exactly. And if any of you don't remember, the unforgivable sin is the taking of the Lord's name in vain. If you're interested in that, actually, Dan McClellan did a short video on what that means to take the Lord's name in vain. And it's pretty good because when I was a kid, the taking of the Lord's name in vain included saying Jesus Christ or, oh my God. There were denominations that I was in. They didn't think that was simply a little blasphemous. That was the unforgivable sin. So watch your tongue. Even if you let it slip, you're done. And I was terrified of it too. But that's not really what it means. It actually means to kind of use God in a way to kind of increase your own. You're essentially using it for purposes that are dishonest. Like you don't entirely believe it, but you're putting it out there, which is an interesting thing to do because it makes you wonder about some of these pastors or ministers who get into a position where they start to doubt. The Freedom from Religion group deals with these, or there's another group that deals with trying to pull people out of, people who are losing their faith, but they're still in a ministry. It's their livelihood, it's their job, and they don't know how to leave it, and it's causing them a lot of trauma because they have to completely change their career. They're going to lose long-term, friends. They're probably going to get ostracized from their family. Really struggle with this, but at the same time, in part of their faith, you kind of wonder, like, if you're a Christian and you see somebody doing that, is God alive? If you believe that, is that person doing that? Is that person persisting in a ministry out of pride and allowing and God is allowing that person to persist in a prideful delusion that includes a blasphemous ministry? I mean, actually, thank you for that, Space Lord. That has some connotations that are really kind of terrifying. Jefferson, I can hear him screaming, "Get off my lawn!" or "Turn down that shitty music." Turn that shitty music off.
I'm sorry.
I'm exposing you.
Sorry.
You are a fraud. You want to sit
It's
there
not
and you
possible.
want to whine like a little schoolgirl. Oh, dear, that's an
I'm not trying to whine,
overgeneralization.
Darth.
Warren, you've heard it many times. Basic precept is just begging the question. The conclusion is coming. You're using the conclusion to prove the conclusion. That's the basic problem. Darth's precept is usually a mangling of a couple of different ontological arguments, and a little bit of a transcendental argument for God. And all of them he does poorly. His essential problem is, actually, I was just talking with my brother about this. His essential problem is that he believes that God is the foundation for absolutely everything in reality. And that you have to know this in order to know anything else. However, he also believes that there is no such thing as autonomous thinking. So the only way you would know that is if he allowed you or he didn't. But Darth blames people and holds them individually accountable for claiming not to know it, when in fact they must know it. So by that definition, Darth must be talking about people who are lying. Everybody actually is a Christian, but they know it, but they're lying to themselves and they're lying to others. This is the essential point of his type of theology. The problem with that is that Darth also believes that this central disconnect, this capacity to deny oneself the reality that they were created by the Christian God, is part of what Darth calls his redemptive plan for man. Not Darth's plan, God's redemptive plan for man. So how could you help but deny the truth of that revelation if the only way you could do that is because God allowed it? So the contradictions begin to just stack up almost immediately with Darth's version of precept, right? But if you go back to basic precept kind of principles, the kind of basic argument, it's just begging the question. And if you need to know about that, go to SEP, look up begging the question fallacy and take a look at it.
Okay, please do not speak while I'm speaking.
Okay.
Now, I make a generalization. Okay, bye. You know what? You're done. You see,
already said
you
goodbye.
are the proof of the pudding. Okay, you are a fraud. You are a liar.
How is he muting people while he's driving? This is interesting. I'm waiting for the part of the video where he does this. Darth Bonson, part 1. The Christian God has revealed himself through a special revelation and natural revelation. 2. The information conveyed through special revelation and natural revelation is contained, at least in part, in the external world. Conclusion. Presupposing the conscious experience of the external world is necessarily more fundamental than any presuppositions based on the conscious experience of God's revelation. That's a good one. Good luck. Have fun, pre-suppers. Thanks, Darth Monson. And Warren comes, God allows people to suppress the truth for his glory. Okay. Darth believes that too. How do you get out of that? Darth also holds people individually responsible for the suppression of truth. It's part of his redemptive plan for man. Why? Why would he? If Warren, you need to answer yourself this, because you're getting into a realm of Christianity that's as shitty as Darth's. You believe in the worst aspects of Arminianism and a kind of Reformed or Calvinistic determinism. Everything is God's doing except for the stuff you don't want to blame God for and you want to hold an individual responsible for. If you don't understand what I mean, consider the difference between something that, if everything is dependent upon God's will, then that would include your ability to think. Darth even believes that. I can't make a claim about good or evil having a conversation with Darth without acknowledging the reality of God, without presupposing the conclusion that the Christian God is real. Darth seems to think that this is a way to go about things. He's never shown the connection between that epistemological framework and actual ontological reality, or even just his presupposed ontology. He believes a God exists. He believes the acknowledgement of that God needs to come before, and a recognition of, and kind of an appreciation for, before I make any claims about anything else. Otherwise, he can just excuse it. He can write it off. He cannot show that connection. When you ask him, why is it necessary for me to assume the truth of Christianity in order to make a claim about facts, he will simply say, because all facts come from God. The things that facts represent come from God. He just goes back to the ontology. This is classic goalpost shifting and question begging. It simply is. And if you believe that God, who is supposed to be the foundation of logic, allows an argument to prove his existence that's based on at least one massive whopper of a fallacy, a simple one, you have some reviewing to do.
Okay.
Darth, relax.
You are proving my generalization.
Relax. You're getting angry for no
I'm
reason.
perfectly fine.
Yeah, he's gone. There's no reason to carry on.
No,
We saw he was
gonna.
lying.
It was a silly generalization. I'm sure we can agree on that, right?
He proved my point. Okay. He
It was a
proved
silly
my
generalization.
He didn't. Well, he did prove a point. He proved that Darth will, if someone with backbone and with a little bit of assertiveness shows up, they will be muted and canceled by Darth. Captain Free Speech here. These guys are all like free speech and they will be canceled. And they will, and in order to justify their canceling, they'll just categorize the person that they canceled as, well, they were being abusive and they were being a troll. Okay, what's your definition for being abusive and being a troll? If they're in there just to say things to be patently offensive, just to get a rise out of people, that would be somebody like PMARS, and PMARS is often allowed in these groups. He fits the definition of a troll. He engages in trolling behavior and abusive online behavior, but he's allowed into these groups. Someone who simply interjects a lot and wants to get their point across and puts up a verbal fight against Darth, someone who demonstrates actual testicular fortitude in a conversation, will be canceled. That is what Darth is communicating, not in words, but in deeds, repeatedly. He does not want to talk to anyone. He does not want to engage in a dialogue. This is about talking at people.
Excuse me?
Said it was a silly generalization.
I didn't hear the first word.
That is silly. It was true. It was a true generalization.
It's not a silly generalization. Is it a generalization? Yes, and it's an accurate generalization.
I disagree. I think it's dumb.
Okay, what was my generalization?
Atheists are deceitful, and then you proceeded to talk to a guy that,
Is that specifically what I said?
That is generally what Darth said. Usually he'll say atheists are deceitful. And then if somebody calls him out on it, like, did I say all of them? You just said atheists. So I'm assuming you mean the entire group. Unless you provide a qualifier, then you're just referring to the entire group. Just like if you say Christians suck, and somebody's like, well, that's not true. Not all of them do. Well, did I say all of them do? What I meant was most Christians suck. I'd be like, but you started out with just Christians. Most people are going to understand that to mean you're referring to the entire group. You're generalizing the whole group. I don't know why Darth has a problem with this. He can't just admit, like, look, you're being lazy. You're old and slipping, right? It happens. I'm old. I'm slipping. It happens to us all. Just admit it. Just admit it that you're generalizing. You're stupid. You're taking. You're punching low. You're taking a shortcut. Warren, you and I need to have a discussion about Christian theology, because whoever is giving you this stuff sucks. Sinners are responsible. Take a criminal who had a bad home life. You would say they were driven by circumstance to commit crime, yet the judge convicts them and only them. Okay. Why are you talking about something that involves humans punishing humans? We're limited in our understanding of what a person's capable of and what motivated them. Sure, there could be personal motivations to commit a crime, social motivations to commit a crime, structural motivations to commit a crime. And maybe we need to take some of those into account when we're dealing with sentencing. But given the fact that we're other humans trying to punish another human being for violating laws we agree on, that's a different case than a person being punished for doing something that an individual being, like God, knew they would do, and in a way made them do. How do you talk yourself out of that? Because your sin is part of God's redemptive plan for man, per Darth Dawkins. Michael says Ephesians 1:11, it's for his purpose, good, bad, ugly, and otherwise. Worship that at your own peril. And oh yeah, by the way, hello to Marty Camejo for joining in.
yes.
Okay, you're an idiot. That's not what I said. I said atheists are, generally speaking, or for the most part, deceptive, deceitful, and evasive. Did I say that every atheist is
No.
deceitful and deceptive?
No, that's why I use the word generalize.
That's right. I said generally speaking, for the most part.
Right, and I said it's a dumb generalization.
How is it dumb?
Because it's just incorrect.
That you're just restating your same position. Explain to me how it's.
He just gave it because it's incorrect. Yeah, even Darth admitted, like, it's incorrect. Not all atheists, not even most atheists, are necessarily dishonest. Darth just keeps repeating it as if it's somehow a fact. AJ had made this point here. How would you feel if a judge hired a hitman to off his wife, then convicted him to prison for offing his wife? Yeah, that's not a bad one. God knows best. I guess that judge knows best, right? Right, Warren? I mean, let's see here. Simus is here. Good to see you, Simus. Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, Timothy. Yes, this is a great way to make the same point. If God knows best and He made the best possible world, then it means that any sin I commit is necessary for this to be the best possible world. Exactly, because it's coordinated with God's redemptive plan for man. We have to go through this stuff, and that means some of us need to break bad and werewolf and just become disgusting, examples of how depraved humanity can be, so that God can be like, I can lift up my chosen. I don't know, and again, this is part of Christian dogma. That is not necessarily in the Bible writ whole, right? The Bible is not univocal in terms of the message it gives about salvation, righteousness, where you're going after you die. It just isn't.
Incorrect.
It's usually not the case that we act like that. It's usually
Based upon whose inductive experience?
based upon my general inductive experience.
Whose inductive experience? This guy knows.
Okay, well, I wasn't talking about your inductive experience. I was talking about mine.
Darth has lost his mind. Based on whose inductive experience are you making that generalization? I've heard you. We have all heard him make this generalization before. I think Darth seems to think that if it's a sweeping generalization rather than an absolute or universal generalization, it's somehow better. It really isn't. And I think this Alec guy knows that, and he's like, these are stupid claims to be making. They are. They're lazy.
I don't care. I think it's a
I
silly
don't care.
generalization.
Okay, yeah, you know what? You're an idiot.
Was that guy Darth just spoke to evasive?
To some extent.
No, he wasn't being evasive. He was actively trying to engage, and Darth kept screaming at him.
And yeah,
Okay,
but
when I was speaking,
Well,
when I was generalizing, was I speaking of your inductive experience or my inductive experience?
you don't use personal inductive experience to make generalizations. That's really silly.
Of course I did. I always speak of my inductive experience.
Right.
I'm talking about my inductive experience on Discord. That's what
Since when is an inductive argument valid or persuasive to Darth? Since when is that a good? Because I don't think this Alec guy. I don't know that he's a non-believer. I think that Alec Innes Cannon guy. I think he actually is a believer of some sort. Maybe not. I like this Darth. He didn't lose his mind. He willingly ejected it. AJ writes, funny how the Bible is really specific about the mundane stuff, but really vague when it comes to the important stuff. Yeah. And the problem with that is that because we tend to get an impression from Christians who say that there's a package deal built into this thing if you read it cover to cover and read it like it's a novel. And that's not the case. The reason that it is hard to figure out this stuff is because these books aren't saying the same things. Right? Christians are advertising that all these books are in agreement, but that's part of the dogma that they're presenting. And that's a real problem, especially in the United States, because so much of what being a Christian in the U.S. seems to be about, especially amongst a lot of the more outspoken groups, is about that uniformity of message and about that kind of. And it makes sense because if you're an evangelical, you want to get the message out, and they will stress and fuss over whether or not they're going to catch any kind of resistance if they don't have a united front, if they can't answer these tough questions. So they have a little bit of they've got a little bit of a way of it's an apologetic. It's a way to smooth out the hard edges of it. But those hard edges exist. Those hard edges should be appreciated for what they are, which are differences in the accounts, because the Bible is a collection of books. And so that motivation alone, the apologetic mission from a lot of these dogmatic Christians alone, is automatically wrongheaded. It's automatically trying to force the Bible into a univocal presentation that it was never meant to have. They are destroying, I think, a deeper appreciation of their own book, not only for the people that they're trying to present their faith tradition to, but also for themselves.
That's what the context was. Numbnuts.
Yeah, right. So it's a silly generalization because you're using.
You're
anecdotes for it.
an idiot. My generalization was qualified in terms of my experience.
It's still lame. And not only that, but it's not well founded, because when Darth has been asked to justify why do you think they are? Well, they're evasive. What do you mean they're evasive? They don't answer direct questions. Oftentimes they do answer direct questions. People have told him this repeatedly. He was trying to answer your question, you cut him off. And Darth will then qualify that he wasn't answering it the right way. So if you don't read his mind and get it right, then you must be dishonest. This has been a common problem for him for a while. Right? If you engage in a dialogue with somebody and you ask them for a response, they provide you the response, and your immediate reaction is to get angry because the answer that they're giving is one genuinely coming from them, but you can't automatically craft it into whatever you had presupposed in your head needed to fit in there. And then you immediately like, you didn't read my mind. You're not providing me with what I want. He's the one answering a vague question like, are you an atheist or not? And some people are just like, well, I guess it depends on what you mean. And then he'll actually accuse you of like, oh, why are you being so evasive? In my case, I don't care if I'm identified as an atheist or not. I don't, it really doesn't bug me. Do I believe in Christianity? No. Do I believe that there are no gods? Yeah, that's kind of my belief. So I guess that makes me an atheist. Am I convinced that any concept of a god is impossible? No. But the classical god of theism, yeah, that one doesn't sound like it will match up. Darth would accuse a response like that of being, oh, that's sleazy and duplicitous and evasive. And it's not. That is not sleazy or duplicitous. Well, I'm sleazy and duplicitous, but that answer really isn't. It's as honest as I can make it, especially if I'm talking about my own belief concept. Now, if he wants to pull out an argument and argue the argument, this argument proves God. Somebody can be like, no, that argument doesn't. But Darth can't do that either. When Darth gets into that conversation, he'll ask the person arguing against him, do you believe? What's your belief status? Which is an irrelevant question. Has nothing to do with the debate. He's saying this argument proves God. And someone else steps in, regardless of their faith tradition, whatever they actually believe, and says, no, that argument does not. Darth would be like, it's a biblical one, and it's supported by the Bible. I think, therefore, you're demonstrating that, like, what are you, Christian or non-Christian? They'll be like, I'm a Christian. Darth's answer, no, you're not. The man is a fallacy generating machine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, are you an atheist?
Yeah.
Okay, ready, folks? Let's start the clock.
I'll
I want
start
you,
it.
one of you guys to start the clock, and we're going to see how long it takes him to be evasive or deceptive. Ready? Start the clock. Why are you an atheist?
Lack of empirical evidence.
Okay. How does it follow?
Okay, here we go. Oh boy, this is going to be good. So he's going to say a lack of empirical evidence. Remember, Darth just got done justifying his generalization of atheists based on his inductive experience. But Alec is not going to be able to justify his lack of belief in a God or his belief that there is no God in his inductive experience. Get ready to take for those who are drinking, hopefully you're just drinking grape juice, something with no alcohol in it. If you're drinking the leaded stuff, take it easy, pace yourself. You're an idiot, numbnuts. There's no hate like Christian love. Like in this case, I would say, yeah. I mean, when Darth thinks that he's telling it like it is when he's talking to people like this, and he's just simply not, and he's not benefiting anybody when he engages like this. But here we go.
That because you are unaware of evidence for God, that God doesn't exist.
Well, I'm using my own inductive experience, right? So that's what I'm basing the empirical data off of.
Okay, stop the clock. How much time just transpired?
How is that
20
evasive?
seconds.
How is that evasive?
Hold on. How much time?
20 seconds.
How is that evasive?
All right, it
He
took
asked
you
you
20
how it
seconds.
follows.
I
is
said,
what he
how
asked
does
you.
how does it follow? Because you are in a state of ignorance that God doesn't exist. And when you open up your mouth, you did not explain to me why it logically and necessarily follows that God does not and cannot exist because of a lack of evidence.
Okay, if general revelation is to be taken as anything valuable, and special revelation is to be taken as something even more valuable than that, and from those things we can infer the existence of God, right? From the general world, we can infer that from this stuff, there must have been a stuff maker. And we have special revelation in the form of scriptures and history of revelation to prophets and things like this, which are usually included in those scriptures, that this stuff was in fact actually done this way, and that God has a redemptive plan for man and a sin narrative and all this other kind of stuff. Okay. I've seen what I have seen does not lead me to infer that there is actually a God. So my inductive experience is that there isn't one. And that's very easy to do. I think that there's other explanations for reality or nature or whatever, the general revelation portion, that doesn't follow that because there's stuff, there's a stuff maker, a personality that engineered it and designed it. And I don't think that if special revelation has any kind of place in this as a category, that it's doing anything, because depending on what belief system you hold, being exposed to special revelation should be a lot more convincing than being exposed to general revelation. And from my inductive experience, it is less so. The thing that is claimed to be special revelation dogmatically from certain parts of the Christian tradition is that I should be looking at that and getting something more out of that, potentially, than I get from inferring a creator from creation, or just inferring that the world, the natural world, has been created by a creator, that it is a creation, that I'm a creation. That to me, and oftentimes what will happen with these guys is they'll kind of pivot on this and act like, well, how did you get all this stuff if there weren't a God? As if general revelation is more important than special revelation. They always neglect the fact that and it depends on what Christianity they're in, the special revelation portion of that, which is cracking the Bible, that's a direct line to God. And yet for many believers, that is less persuasive than general revelation. And Christians know that, which is why oftentimes Christians lead with the Bible last, because they know it doesn't, because they know it raises questions, it raises difficulties. But if you can stick with the more intuitive one, well, why is there something rather than nothing? Well, I don't know. Well, it's got to come from a something maker. And that's a little bit more persuasive because we want to fix the pattern. The Bible, if you try to take it as a uniform, univocal narrative, is loaded with broken patterns, which is why so many people have a difficult time with it. Which is why Christians shouldn't be presenting it as a univocal thing. It's better and more persuasive, I think, if you present it as a collection of different perspectives on belief and history or whatever.
So it took you 20 seconds to give me an evasive response.
You want me to explain it, or do you want to keep interrupting?
There is no explanation. Does it logically and necessarily follow that a creator God does not exist because you are in a state of ignorance? Does that follow?
No, not necessarily.
That's right. So then therefore...
Now he's shifting it to, is God actually real, rather than what do you believe about God? If you didn't notice this, this is a classic trick of Darth. He wanted to know why he's an atheist, which is, why do you think that? And Alec's position has been, well, I don't see any, I have not seen good evidence that convinces me of it. And now Darth wants to be, well, what makes you think that just because you're not convinced that there isn't one? He's shifted the goalpost again. Alec's position is not that there can't be a God. And that wasn't the question. Darth's question was, as I've said repeatedly, what do you believe? And Alec told him what he thought. So this is dishonest. Warren, I would like you to explain how it is that Darth can get away with this, because I think that you agree with me on this. And yet you're in here just kind of saying nobody has defeated Darth on this stuff, or Darth blah, 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 blah. But I'm not seeing that. Also, I want to point out, God isn't hidden. Well, it depends on who you read. In certain parts of the Bible, God just shows up. God walks around and talks to people, shakes their hand, whatever. He actually sits down and has a meal before he sends off his angels over to Sodom and Gomorrah. In that narrative, he flooded the world. There's no evidence that there was a global flood. In fact, there's evidence to the contrary, that there was a global flood. Destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. We don't know that. We have a narrative that says God smote two cities called Sodom and Gomorrah. Made a donkey talk. Again, that's probably a narrative device for that story and not a historical fact. Destroyed the Egyptian army. We don't know that he did that because, again, that account is fraught with problems. And sent Jesus. That's problematic too. we have accounts from the Gospels that Jesus is quote unquote divine, but none of the Gospels declare that Jesus is God. They don't. The closest is John, and even in that, you have to kind of reconcile a difference between what he could mean by divinity. In a Greco-Roman sense, it could be that Jesus was made divine, like Jesus ascends and becomes, divine in the sense that he's made holy, like the rest of us will be made holy, but he's not equivalent to God. And at no point in any of the four Gospels does it say flat out, does Jesus say he's God? He says things that Christians believe means he says they're God. And even if you could say, this is what the author intended when he has Jesus in this section say he's God, we don't know what Jesus said. Darth talks about this being self-attesting. We have no record of what Jesus said other than the Gospels. And the Gospels are written by people, anonymous writers, who make claims as to what Jesus said. It's very important to keep that distance from it.
Or your answer is not an answer to my question.
Well, that doesn't follow at all either, doesn't it?
Okay, yeah, you know what? You're exemplifying atheists at all. You just sitting there going, oh, you're like.
He instantiates all facts, including evil, Warren.
You're like the character Nathan Sarm that Martin Short played. He was a greasy, sweating, chain-smoking lawyer who would just constantly lie. You're just exemplifying my generalization, okay? Now, when I say, hey, listen to me carefully, okay?
JL, good to see you. Just woke up, no patience for Warren's. Warren is enjoying the attention. He's in here trolling. What he thinks he's doing is trolling for Jesus. I don't mind if he's in here because every time he does this, I think it's funny. All he's doing is demonstrating what a tier one, not even that. He's a gutter tier kind of a Christian apologist. This is stuff that you can just get off apologist websites, and it's a complete I'm gonna go out on the Warren has less respect for the Bible than I do. That's all there is to it. I appreciate the Bible for what it is, a collection of books written from different authors with different perspectives, demonstrating a lot of different narratives and different angles. Warren believes it's a single book written by God, or at least inspired so that it comes across that way. And if you had any appreciation for what scholarship is and for what those books are and the hard work that scholars have put into reading them, translating them, researching them, he would not be saying the things that he is. So he has less respect for his selected scripture and his faith tradition than I do. And he should reflect on that.
And remember, I am going to immediately call you out if you evade my question.
All right, so I'm starting the clock again.
Okay, now, can God create a world?
Here we go. This will be interesting. I'll ask a philosophical hypothetical and see how far. Let's count how long it takes for Darth to blow this up.
Wherein he does not disclose his existence.
No. I'm going to go with no. He can't. Because the God, as Darth has defined him before, has a certain set of properties, and general revelation is a component of salvation in his redemptive plan. So no, he cannot do that.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. So then does it follow then, if there's an absence of evidence, that God would not and could not exist?
Not necessarily.
Good. Then your support for atheism is bankrupt.
That doesn't follow, Darth. That just simply, that doesn't follow. Like, oh, it could be, therefore you can't do that. No. Just because it could be the case doesn't mean that it is the case. You have to demonstrate that it is. You can't go from a possibility to a necessity like that and pretend you've taken the high ground. That's just lazy.
Well, I'm more interested.
Also, good to see you, Maya. Happy Saturday to you. Let me read this one out loud. It's not going to let me. Okay, that's weird. Michael, I'll ask you a complex, open-ended question. Answer me yes or no. Precisely. Yeah.
Interested to hear if you can support that there's actually no evidence.
I want you. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. Is it your position there is no creator?
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to give me a proposition where it necessarily follows from that, a necessary entailment that God does not exist. Go.
Okay. I'll put this in the form of a syllogism, right? So I'll go premise one.
AJ summed this up well. That inductive argument you provided isn't deductive, so I win. That's exactly right.
Empirical data is important to establish phenomena. Premise two, deities are defined in traditions as supernatural entities. Premise three, supernatural entities aren't accessible through naturalistic or scientific methods. So that involves there's lack of empirical data. Right. Conclusion, since empirical evidence based on observation and measurements around the natural world cannot find deities, it's fair to say that empirical data doesn't exist that supports the existence of deities or gods.
Are you surely you weren't serious with that?
That's not bad. What Darth doesn't figure out here, and a lot of people don't get, is that when you talk to some of these guys, what they want is a justification that somehow what they want is a statement of certainty, and this doesn't make any sense because you can take this from a variety of different ways. And I've talked about this before. If you're justifying your belief stance, you could justify it from an empirical sense. You could justify it from an inductive stance. You can justify it from kind of a subjective stance. I've been told that a subjective personal experience is necessary in order to really feel the presence of God. I've never had that. Therefore, I'm not convinced that this God is, there's a possibility in my mind that this God's not real. I should feel it pulling at my heart at some point, right? And if the Christian comes back, well, maybe it's not for you, then that's going to raise some questions for the Christian, right? From the non-believer, like, well, wait a minute. Is it true that some of us just never get the call? And the Christian then has to kind of go along with kind of a Calvinist reform thing, like, I guess you were never going to get the invitation. So that person's like, oh, so no matter what I do, because my righteousness is is like rags to God. There's nothing that I can do to get to win my own salvation. But from the sounds of it, even halfway, there's nothing that person can do to beseech God for the invite. To hey, I need that Holy Spirit to make that change in my heart. The Holy Spirit changes what they want. You're not getting in. That's a tough claim. And Christians do not like dealing with the God that does not he saves everybody, or at least his salvation potentially saves everybody, but it comes with an invitation and a caveat. But his love is unconditional.
I was, absolutely.
Yeah. How old are you?
I don't think that's relevant. You want to
Okay,
reply to what I said,
I will ask you again for my benefit. How old are you?
23.
Okay, that's sad for a 23-year-old. I thought you were going to say 16 or 17.
Do you want to answer the question?
Now I'm trying to explain to you. None of that follows. Okay, none of that. Everything you said is a non sequitur. It does not logically and necessarily follow. Okay, but listen carefully. Do you know who Christopher Hitchens was?
That logically followed, given that he was being asked, he was providing a syllogism to justify him using empiricism to justify his belief stance. That was what he was using. And now Darth is going to be like, that doesn't logically follow because that doesn't prove God. That's not what he was using that syllogism for. Darth Dawkins is not paying attention or thinking critically.
Yeah.
Do you know who Christopher Hitchens was?
Yes.
I didn't ask you. Alex, mute your microphone. Alex, mute your microphone.
You asking me or?
Yeah, of course I'm asking you.
No, there's two Alexes, Darth.
I'm so confused.
No, I'm sorry. No. I wasn't looking at your screen there. I'm talking about the female. I'm asking you, Alec, the male. Do you know who Christopher Hitchens was?
Isn't he some new age atheist or something? I can't remember exactly.
No, he wasn't new age. He was an atheist. Okay. Now, is the absence of evidence of absence in all cases or some cases?
No.
In some cases. Saturday morning, Darth. But Darth is getting this wrong again. Isn't absence of evidence of absence? We're not talking about proving the ontological certainty of a thing. We're not by ontological. That's just a fancier way of saying we're not talking about the actual reality of it. Is it actually real? He was talking to Alec about whether or not Alec believes it or not, and how does he justify that belief? And Alec laid out a syllogism that justifies his usage of empirical reasoning to substantiate or to provide a justification for why. Now that justification, this is a problem with Christians, and I think they got this from guys like Bonson, that the justification has to either be ironclad or absolutely certain, and needs to be backed up with a seal of approval from a deity. If you don't have that, then it's not a justification. A justification doesn't have to be right. A justification is just a justification. It doesn't mean it's immune to challenges or immune to examination or immune to interrogation. You can go at it. But if the person is provided, you can't accuse somebody of not providing a justification for their belief after they've done it, and then say that the reason it's not justified is because it doesn't conclusively disprove the existence or the possibility of the existence of a deity. That is dishonest and patently absurd. That is a non sequitur. That does not follow. It does not follow that if a person provides justification for their belief system, that they are providing a knockdown argument that shows that God is not possible, which is what Darth is desperately looking for. And to that end, he should check out Stephen Maitland.
No.
I'm not having a clear answer. Is
No.
the absence of evidence evidence of absence?
No.
Good. You've now contradicted yourself.
So can I explain why?
Are you listening to me?
Oh my God.
You're not. Oh, I thought you weren't a Christian. I mean, I thought you weren't a theist. You're
Can I
an atheist.
explain it, or do you want to?
What do you mean? Oh my God! What God?
Can I explain it, or are you going to keep interrupting?
Listen to me carefully. Look, I guess you're not familiar with me. I've been doing this for 14 years. I have dialogue with more atheists than I can literally shake a stick at. Okay? Listen carefully.
Ew. I don't want to hear him say that again.
You just agreed that the absence of evidence is not necessarily evidence of absence.
Right. And so how was what Alec was providing you before in any way connected to him attempting to provide evidence for the actual existence of God, or even the possibility of the existence or non-existence of that God? He's trying to, you ask for justification for his belief, not justification for, not an argument that disproves God.
Okay?
Yeah.
But you said God does not exist because there's an absence of evidence.
No, he didn't actually. He believes that. That's his belief. He believes that there isn't a God because he does not see empirical evidence for that God. That's a belief statement. Even if, this is Darth just losing his capacity to be charitable. He believes that there isn't one because there's no good empirical evidence for it. That's a belief statement. Like, okay, well, is it the case that you've disproven God because of your belief statement or your justification for your belief? No, of course not. Darth once again talking. Darth is being evasive and sleazy and duplicitous here. Actually, he's just confused and stupid. But yeah, can I explain, Darth? There you go, being evasive again. Yeah, let's try to get some. Let's see. Oh, here it is. To create miracles, God must change the laws of physics, which means the laws of physics can change at any time, and Darth has an incoherent universe. He's been presented with this before, and he finds weird ways to wiggle out of it. Cocos, for being such a seasoned debater, I think Ding Dong is committing a no-truth atheist. He kind of is. This is sort of a weird, it's a combination and a no-true atheist is sort of like a straw man. If you don't meet his, if you don't stand up to his definition of an atheist, which is someone who states and argues that a God is impossible. He's incapable of wording it this way. But when you hear more of him talk about it, it's not somebody who either believes that there isn't a God, or believes that there probably isn't a God, or is not convinced of beliefs of gods, however you want to put that. He doesn't want to take that into account. He wants somebody that Darth is there to say, I'm a Christian and I'm here to prove the incontrovertible, the inarguable existence of the Christian God. And he thinks the atheist is the person who's like, no, I'm an atheist and I'm here to prove the inarguable, incontrovertible truth that there isn't a God or there can't be a God. One or the other. And I'm not exactly sure which one he wants. That God doesn't exist or God can't exist. But he definitely wants one of those two. What he does not want is somebody saying, hey, I don't believe in God, and that's different than saying that I don't think that there's impossibility, that God is impossible. Those aren't the same thing. And he thinks that's sleazy. He thinks that that's atheist being deceptive, because he can't make the distinction between epistemology and ontology. He projects that onto his opponents and these aren't dialogues when he's haranguing them, and you can never get past this point because he lacks the intellectual and emotional bandwidth to engage with people charitably long enough to get this understanding out of them, because he's too insecure and reacts too quickly with rage and vitriol about it. He thinks they're out to get him. This is just a way for him to cope through a persecution complex.
Therefore, God doesn't exist. That's
Right,
a
so can I explain
contradiction.
it?
No,
Can I
you're not.
explain it?
I'm not getting through to you.
Yeah, Darth claims that Santa does not exist due to absence of evidence. He doesn't recognize the implications for the Christian God. He should steer clear of evidence claims. You're right, but the reason he claims that is because he just makes a category distinction. Santa Claus is a contingent being. God isn't, therefore I win. That's how he gets out of it. So he uses special pleading to escape that, even though he's engaging in the exact same kind of logical theory, the same kind of rationale that he accuses his opponents of, but he just doesn't think that that's a weakness.
Wow,
Jesus
you are.
Christ.
You know what? You know what? You see, notice you said, "Oh my God," and you just said Jesus Christ.
Because
Why
you're
would you be
hostile.
saying those things? No, you're an idiot.
So now Darth doesn't understand cultural Christianity. Darth discounts the mere possibility of local atheism, despite being a local atheist himself. He insists all atheists are global atheists. That's another thing too. Yeah, that's a great point. So not only is it, I don't believe in God, like, right? He's not looking for that. He wants the person who's presenting himself, I'm an atheist here, to make the claim that God's, writ all, the category, doesn't exist, or even stronger, can't exist. I'm a global atheist who believes that God's not believes, but can prove. I'm here to argue with you that that gods are impossible. That's what Darth. That's who Darth wants to talk to. That's who Darth thinks he's talking to. And when he gets somebody who's not that, he thinks they're lying. So he has this very narrow straw man definition of what an actual atheist is or should be. And anyone else that comes in and doesn't really hold up to that, he thinks they're dodging. He plays the aseity card. Yeah. Cascade. Precept is the bottom of the barrel apologetics. There is a reason it's laughed out of mainstream debates and not considered by most serious apologists. Yeah, and that's saying something. Because while I think apologists writ large are a gaggle of weird dogmatic a-holes that are just trying to shill a heavily abridged coloring book version of their faith tradition to the dubious masses so they can increase participation in it, rather than trying to engage with them with something substantive, deep, and educational. Precept is even lower than that. Let's see here. I've noticed of late Discord rooms that Darth has been in are getting smaller and smaller. Fewer and fewer people are in the room. That's because they're the way he's got them modded. He's probably got it set up where fewer and fewer people are allowed in, depending on the room that he's in, and it depends on the mods he's working with. But yeah, he'll end up doing it. He does this before, where he kind of like, it's sort of like the opposite of painting yourself into a corner. He just paints away everybody else, and then he's just standing in an empty room and nobody can get in. You know, he just keeps, you know, it's like a tower defense game. And then he complains that nobody's around to talk to him. It's like, you've muted and blocked everyone that was interested in talking to you.
23-year-old.
You can't talk your way out of a fallacy. You can't talk your way out of a.
Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm about to end the conversation with you because either you're really not very wise on the subject, or you're just being deceitful.
Oh, so he's either ignorant or he's a liar. It's one of the two. It's not that they're having misunderstanding. Darth always needs to fulfill his narrative. So his narrative, like, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but the feeling that I'm getting is that you're stupid or that you're lying to me. And so if I continue to hear things that just feed my narrative, because I'm not going to put a pin in it, I'm not going to reflect on that narrative, I'm going to start listening to you now, and those are the only parameters I'm going to allow. Stupid or liar. Stupid, liar, stupid. Oh, it's both. Muted, banned, troll, abusive, Darth wins, you drool. That's it.
I ask you why God does not exist. Okay. Right. And you said there's no evidence. So what you're saying is God does not exist because there's no evidence for him.
Yeah, Richie said, I don't know, Jefferson. I quite like Aquinian apologetics because it's based around inquiry about the natural world, leading to understanding, but precept is just, I put a hat on a hat, so I win. Yeah, okay. So I should clarify that. When I hear apologetics, I'm used to thinking apologetics in sort of the Ray Comfort, Kurt Cameron kind of thing, and not from the kind of the grounding of sort of the theological background of it, going back to Aquinas or Augustine, Augustine. Um, in that case, yeah, I think those guys were robust thinkers in a lot of ways. But but even with them, I think part of the problem with a lot of what they were doing, while they were very critical thinkers, and they were very they had I think some really interesting insights about it. Most of it was within the perspective of trying to massage philosophical concepts into the theology, and so it was still kind of shackled to this idea of, rather than open exploration of the world around you, it was a channeled exploration of the world around you to justify your faith tradition and to support the claims you already had made about God and the creator. So even in that case, I still don't have a great deal of respect. I don't really care about those kinds of theological claims, and I don't think that non-believers should be exposed to those first. They should eventually be exposed to them. But what most Christians get is what most non-believers will get up front will be the conclusions built on the backs of guys like Aquinas and Augustine to say, like, oh, well, we know this. We know this. And what's being presented is an apologetic formulated by a philosopher from hundreds of years ago about hotly debated topics within their faith tradition that these guys just think, no, this is just settled, and it really isn't. And yeah, so but I appreciate that, because there is something to be gained out of reading guys like Aquinas and Augustine, especially if you're interested in the theology part of it. My issue, I think, when dealing with guys like Darth does not, and I think he's incapable of, understanding that there's a difference between critical scholarship of the books of the Bible and understanding theology. And fortunately for us, he understands neither, so he's a great example of what not to do.
That is saying that in an absence of evidence, it's evidence of absence. But you rejected the latter, which means you can't accept both because it's a contradiction. Do you understand?
Yes, I'm trying to explain it, and you're just not.
Do you understand? You have contradicted yourself. No, you don't get it, do you?
Of course I
I'll
do.
go
You let
through
me
it
explain
again.
it.
Is it your position that because of an absence of evidence, therefore it's evidence of absence that God exists?
No.
Yeah, but not necessarily.
Okay, good. Then not necessarily. Then your rationale.
No, that's kind of justifying his belief, because that God's not really, the empirical evidence isn't leading conclusively to that God, or even really probabilistically, if empirical evidence can work that way. He's not seeing good evidence. It's in terms of justifying his belief. Darth's not getting it.
That God doesn't exist isn't necessarily true.
Okay, can I explain it then, or are you going to keep?
Okay, you know what? You're so dumb. I can't continue anymore because I'll just be mean. That's how dumb you are. And you know what? You're choosing to be dumb. It's not because you have an inability. The fact of the matter is, I asked.
Okay, so those are two narratives that Darth has now employed. Okay, I'm not going to do this because you're dumb. So he's decided. So he's decided on a narrative. You're ignorant. It's not just that you're not a liar. You're stupid. But now he's doubled into it. Now he's added a dimension. You are choosing to be dumb. How does he know that? I mean, really, how does he know that? That is a bonkers claim to make, and a sure sign that you are talking to somebody who is at their core an abusive piece of shit. This kind of projection is pure gaslighting, ignorance from this guy. This guy is a cave troll doing this kind of stuff.
You, how is it that God does not exist? And you said God does not exist because there's no evidence for God. That is the same thing as saying because there's an absence of evidence, that means it's evidence of absence.
No.
Yeah,
But you rejected
in terms of substantiating his belief, not in terms of substantiating the actual existence of the thing in question, just whether or not he believes it could be real or not, or believes it actually is real.
Rejected the notion that the absence of evidence necessitates evidence of absence. You rejected that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
yeah, Jay's onto something here. He's like, does Darth low-key think that if it can't be shown that God is a contradiction / impossible, then it's the case that God would necessarily exist. Yeah. So in a way, while he's saying, like, hey, absence of evidence isn't necessarily evidence of absence in all cases. So you can't be trying to say that just because you don't see good empirical evidence for the existence of this God, it doesn't follow that God couldn't actually be the case or isn't actually the case. And so I guess the flip side would be where Darth is running with us, and I think Jay's right, and because I think this is what Darth's doing, because there isn't conclusive evidence to disprove the possibility of the existence of God or the actuality of the existence of God, he necessarily follows that he exists. That's fallacious too. So he hasn't gotten anywhere. Even if he can substantiate that this is what Alec is doing, and I don't believe that that is what Alec's doing, he's using an argument about empirical evidence to justify his belief stance, not to justify the actual statement that a God is impossible or just doesn't exist. Whichever claim is stronger that Darth wants to insist he's making. He's not making that claim. He's using that syllogism about empirical evidence to justify his belief claim. But Darth would have to show, like, okay, so is the opposite the case then? You couldn't even make this argument. Think about where that's going. If you could show that absence of evidence isn't necessarily evidence of absence. Okay. So given that, should we then conclude that God necessarily follows or even possibly follows? I would argue that it would be fallacious to just say, okay, it's definitely fallacious to say that it's necessary. It might also not, it's also not really a strong claim to say that it's possible. Because it goes back to what you're trying to define into existence. If Darth is trying to define something into existence with this idea about God, right? If you're talking about something that, well, evidence of absence, this absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence, you're talking about something that could have evidence for it at all. And one of the things in his propositions that Alec had brought up was about the supernatural not really conforming well to the empirical process. So that seems to be a little bit of a wrinkle there. You wouldn't, I believe in the importance of empirical reasoning. I believe in the importance of observation, repeatability, being able to look at and find this information here. Gods, as they're defined as supernatural beings, which means they're kind of outside or independent, of the empirical world. Therefore, as a category, I don't see evidence for them. I shouldn't see evidence for them unless I'm not inclined to believe that they actually exist. That's a justification of that belief, kind of from an empirical thing. I think I'm getting Alec's syllogism right. I might not be. I might be missing something. But Darth again is just continually twisting this into what Alec is doing is making a statement that God doesn't exist or can't exist, and that's not what Alex is doing.
That means that your statement is contradicted. Your first statement is there's an evidence of absence of the existence of God because of an absence of evidence for God.
I can explain why it's not a contradiction.
Okay, have a nice day. Have a nice day. You're done. You're too thick.
It's a logical fallacy, dude.
Notice how Darth wouldn't let him explain himself.
It's a logical fallacy. You can't explain a logical fallacy.
Please do not white knight.
You can, was that parakeet? You can so explain a logical fallacy. You can explain a logical fallacy. The important thing to do is if you see somebody engaging in a logical fallacy, you should explain it to them. Kind of like what I'm trying to do for Darth here, if he watches the video. Tune in, Darth.
For that person,
I was just narrating what you were doing.
Kalam, do you want to be? Hey, Kalam, do you want to have permanently banned from the room permanently? Okay, fine. Guess what? No, you don't understand. Those were temporary bans.
Fuck off.
Okay, bye. You're now permanently banned.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off. I don't care. You should let the guy respond.
Don't use that language, please.
To me, I'm an atheist too. I want the Dawkins experience. Heard about it so much, but I haven't
Dawkins
gotten it yet. Yeah, people have been
Go
telling me. I just didn't come here yet.
Hi, Tom Rabbit.
Okay, guys, give me a minute. Hold
I like this guy already.
on a second. Give me a
And the guy that kept telling him to fuck off. That was good.
minute. This will take me about a minute or two to get done, but I have to send notification because I cannot execute the permanent account ban in this room. So I have.
Darth was once asked if it's true that Superman can fly, and he said no. Let me guess, because Superman is fictional? Was that where he was going with it? I bet it was. Actually, the answer to your question is in your question. How has Parakeet been able to survive for so long with so little brain activity? Yeah, see that part, the so little brain activity. He's sort of like a like a pilot fish or whatever what they called a remora or whatever. They just hang off, kind of eat the crumbs out the corner of the bigger fish's mouth. Darth has a wanton disregard for knowledge. Yes, he does.
Have to contact one of the founders to get it executed, but he's going to be permanently banned from this account. Okay, I don't mind if people give me a hard time, but when he's just in my face, okay, saying he doesn't care about being banned, which is a lie. He does care because he's here. He's come here before. He comes here regularly. Okay, fine. He's not going to get permanently banned. All right, I'll be with you guys in a minute.
What?
Yeah, no rush.
Darth,
I know
you
it's
believe
probably
unicorn
not going
exist?
to end well, but I just want to see at what part of the process I get murdered.
Darth,
So-
you
I like EXO.
Are you an atheist or are you a Christian, Exodus?
guys.
I'm an
You-
atheist.
Darth,
That's
Darth,
why
you're
I'm
an
saying it, of
atheist.
course. Yeah.
Well,
Why
if
else
you're an
would I be coming
atheist,
here?
get ready to
Yeah,
feel
I
the full
understand.
hammer of Darth Vader.
I understand. I'm getting the full fistful, right? Yeah.
It's exciting, isn't
Yes, you are.
Hey, dude. I mean,
You're
I've been doing the
waiting
flat
for it, aren't
earthers,
you?
right? Like, it doesn't get much,
Yeah.
worse in terms of muting and stuff. So, I'm prepared. It's all good. All in good spirits.
Oh, this isn't going to be in good spirits. You're going to get exposed.
Oh no. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
Matt,
of course.
I really thought that,
Depends.
like,
Okay, I'm good. See, one thing for those of you who are new to me, okay,
So there's already a disconnect there. They're like basically people are treating this like a funhouse ride. It was that parakeet again saying like, "Oh no, it's not going to be fun for you, bro. You're going to be called out. You're going to be exposed for the sinner that you are." Like, thank you, parakeet, for providing the hype man experience he was also looking forward to.
if you want to see Darth Dawkins get agitated, if you want to see me get verbally stringent with people, all they got to do is just start blatantly lying to my face, lying to me when they know that I know they're lying and they know that I know that they know that I'm lying. Okay, or just overtly troll me. That 23-year-old I was just talking to is being willfully stupid. He couldn't possibly be that stupid from talking with him. So what he's doing is being willfully stupid on purpose. He's playing dumb. And then what he wants to do is just, want. The fact of the matter is he flatly contradicted himself.
Darth, let me explain.
He didn't.
To say,
oh my god, let me explain it.
Listen to me.
Deductive
What
argument.
is your username?
Alakine Cannon, but that's not relevant though.
Is that
Let me
Alec
explain
guy
it.
again?
Let me just explain it,
Yeah,
please.
he feels the need to defend himself.
What do you
So far.
No, there's no explaining a complete and absolute contradiction. You said God does not exist. Okay. That is, we have evidence of absence because there's no evidence for God. Okay, that's your position. But I asked him, is the absence of evidence necessarily evidence of absence? And he said, not necessarily. Therefore, that vitiates his first statement.
Can you just continue
Right?
with me? I agree with you on everything. We don't have to keep repeating because it's getting boring.
Okay, now, so can we have the clock? Can we have the clock starter ready? Look, if I hear anybody fucking over talk me while I'm speaking, I'm going to kick you out of the room.
This is when
Look,
Darth
if you want to do this, go to another room.
Darth should call himself a timeout
With the
right
clock
here.
starter, get ready to start your clock. Let's
Absolutely,
see how long. Let's see how many seconds or minute it takes this next atheist to be deceptive or evasive. Atheist, what is your username?
Exonaut. Hey, what's up?
Okay. Atheism is the proposition that there is no creator.
That's
Okay?
not my position.
Okay, then you're not an atheist.
I think, well, according to my definition, I am. If you have a different one, I'm
Sir,
happy to accept that one.
listen to me. I don't give a rat's ass what your definition of atheism is. I am using the definition of atheism that is
then I'm not an
standard
atheist.
in the good.
According to that definition, I'm definitely not.
Yeah, thanks, Dustin, for pointing that out. Yeah, right after, right, the guy's kicked and somebody's like, "We don't like that kind of language in here. We don't like that kind of language in here." Darth tells somebody to shut the fuck up, or tells everyone to shut the fuck up.
Not an atheist, and so we have nothing to talk about, though. But I
Good,
don't
bye.
believe in a god.
Right. So, but here's the problem. You are no longer identifying as an atheist.
Oh, I
but
am.
now
I am.
would you
You aren't
please
identifying me as an
okay?
atheist.
Listen to me. You know what?
See, this is how you know that Darth is kind of a conservative and is a Christian, a conservative American Christian, is obsessed with identity politics. Because if he can't pigeonhole somebody into their identity, he starts to kind of fall apart and kind of vacillate on this stuff. This is just so. I mean, there's so much cope built into everything that he tries to lay up here. It's absurd.
Life is short, and I don't have time for this teenage willful stupidity. Okay,
That's a lie.
An atheist. Okay,
He's been doing this for 14 years, but he doesn't have time for teenage willful stupidity. He's on Discord.
Common English usage is somebody who disbelieves and denies the existence of God. Now, if
Yeah, is that somebody that argues for the impossibility of God's existence, Darth? It's right there in the definition that he's going to go on to say. Oh,
you want to write a book, a philosophical treatise, wherein you explain to the reader that atheism will be construed not as the denial of God, but as an umbrella term, which encapsulates a variety of different views, including the denial of God, fine, more power to you. I'm going to ask you a single question, and let's see if you're evasive about this. Is there a single word in the English?
he actually doesn't need to do that because that's been done, and it's been determined that atheism is a polysemist term. So this sort of dismissal, like, well, if you want to get into some kind of treatise and write about all the different things that we could try to like throw in under the category of atheism, I guess you could do that. This is a guy that used to throw around and brag about how he's read the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy off the internet, and he understands it. And so he knows that this is the only definition of philosophy that there is, the one that he's rocking with. And it's evident to anyone who's actually read that entry that Darth has read only the first paragraph, maybe two, and stopped.
Language, which is used uniformly to designate those who deny the existence of God.
Yeah, I mean,
what is that word?
Atheist.
What is that word?
I would say atheist, maybe agnostic.
Oh,
like
okay,
agnostic
good.
better?
Now, is there a single word in the entire English language that is used to designate those who have a suspension of judgment about the existence or non-existence of God? Is there a single word where one neither affirms nor denies God? Is there a word for that?
If it's not the ones I already told you, then I don't know. I'm ignorant.
Is there a word for that?
I'm ignorant of it. I don't know. Please tell
The
me.
word is agnostic.
Didn't I just say that, bro? What?
Okay. Now,
dude,
if you do not, okay, so we have clear words in the English language. Atheist is used uniformly in the English-speaking world to denote those who deny God, but you want to identify as an atheist, but you say, but I don't deny God, which is contrary to the uniform usage of the word.
No,
this has been going on. Listen to me, sir. Listen to me. You know what? Have you even read even a scholarly paper on the definition of atheism?
He doesn't have to do that.
What paper? What paper?
Like, dude, I don't know. Can look up.
I'd like to read whatever paper you read.
It's been a while.
Maybe you should read On the Definition of Atheism by Malik, Malik. Okay, it's a scholarly paper on the definition of atheism. People like you continue to make atheists look like fools. Jeffrey J. Louder, the founder of Internet Infidels, probably one of the more intelligent atheists that I've ever heard. Debate or talk on atheism. Okay.
Who's this Jeff? I don't know if I've ever heard Jeffrey Louder before, but if he's getting props from Darth, he gotta, like, maybe his ears are burning.
Said atheists continue to shoot themselves in the foot because they don't operate on a unified definition of atheism.
Right.
I'm not interested in how you proprietarily define atheism. If you read the paper,
I mean, do we have to go?
If you read the paper, let me finish. If you read the paper, it's called Atheological.
It's a good point, Alex. I really don't get this new part of the script. What is the singular English word for the unbeliever, heretic? It's atheism.
Apologetics. I believe that's the title of the paper. Hold on.
Just to be clear, my position is I'm not convinced that a God exists. And whatever label you want to use, I'm fine if we use that for the conversation.
You know how many times I've heard this? Do you know how many times I've heard this?
Okay, I'm really hearing the lisp now. A lot of in the last video that I did on Darth, people were commenting a lot on the lisp and stuff. Maybe this happens when he's getting angry. Yeah, his voice has changed a bit. This is kind of weird.
I'm like a state trooper. Yeah, fuck off.
What's wrong with that?
I'm like a state trooper, and then drops the F-bomb. We're not supposed to be allowing that language in this room. Darth is fucking up. Jefferson, I love how Darth is appealing to a Muslim. Oh, is that who the other guy is? That's interesting. Yeah. Oh, the Malik guy. Yeah. The Malik guy is actually, I looked that up before. He's a Muslim apologist who goes off on this kind of rigid definition of atheism versus agnosticism, and I don't think that it's really taken all that seriously. I mean, I don't think anybody, gives a damn. But I mean, there's something to be said about it. But other people have explained this better.
I'm happy to use your definition.
Was that Alex at the top? Yeah, it was her.
I think that was the female.
Yeah, fuck
Alex.
you, Darth. It was me.
Yeah, bye,
Yeah,
sweetheart.
fuck you.
Bye, bitch. You're not going to be permanently banned from the room.
I mean, Merriam-Webster defines it differently, like you said.
Sir, listen to me. Sir, listen to me.
Cambridge defines it differently.
So how does he justify that kind of language towards women? That doesn't sound patient or kind, or he just flat out, he just lost it and decided to call her that. That's kind of creepy.
Okay, will you shut up for a second?
Telling people to shut up. I mean, he's losing it.
I actually have on my laptop a collection of several dozen definitions. I've even gone on to the Oxford English Dictionary that is subscription based. Okay? The fact.
Ooh, the Oxford, he's paying a monthly fee, y'all. Maybe he's doing it annually. State trooper, this screams of his desire to have authority and carry a gun. Exactly. Yeah, that was like, I'm like a state trooper up in here. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Like anybody's gonna care. Like, oh, you're a cop for Jesus. I'm pulling you over for what? For not being righteous. Hoo-ah. Yeah, blow it out your ass, Darth. You're not pulling over anything except your own ass onto a toilet. Hopefully.
The fact of the matter
maybe
is, in spite of the fact that
conjured an image that I didn't want in my head, so I apologize to my audience and to anyone who watches this later.
Some dictionaries include lack of belief as a sub-definition. They're simply identifying of how it is used. But the point is to define atheism. You know what? Interrupt me when I'm talking again, and you're going to be done in the room. Just give me a second. I have to send notifications. So this little witch. Excuse my language before.
Excuse your language. Oh, when you called her a bitch? Was that the language? When you called her a bitch and then kicked her from the... Remember the balls thing? He wanted people with balls. I guess that excludes women. I guess we should have taken him very, very literally about that.
But she was purposely trolling. Guess what? Now she crossed the line too far. Okay? So now she's going to get perm banned from the room.
The reason that people will eventually just downgrade to purposely trolling is because there's no point in trying to like honestly engage with him for longer than a few minutes. You're going to end up getting, I mean, look at the Alec guy. He's like coming back in like, hang on, let me explain myself. Let me explain this better. Darth's already got him wrapped up. He's already got him labeled. He's intentionally stupid. Whatever the hell that means.
Again, Darth, I'm happy to use any definition you
I
want
said
to use.
shut up and please wait.
I didn't interrupt you. You said I shouldn't interrupt you, and I did not.
Shut up until I'm ready.
If he's doing something in the background, he can't let Exonaut speak while he's doing something in the background. This is, and first of all, I thought he was like, this is yelling at atheists in his car like a lunatic. How is he doing this in his car? Like, I'm assuming with this video that he's been driving the entire time. I think we're almost to the end here too.
No, okay. I mean, I guess you don't want to talk.
Hi, little boy.
Darth, are you a troll?
Are you?
All right, that was 6 minutes and 50 seconds, Darth, since you said to start the clock on that.
Yeah, and again, this will go up to Tom Rabbit's video. And good. I'm glad for the world to see this because these people are pieces of crap. And then people wonder why I become irate when they lie, they deceive, they evade, they're rude, they're obnoxious. They lie right to my face.
Hey, Tom.
Oh, there's no cap around that one. That's too bad. JL, why are you timing me out? You are just as bad as DD. I think that JL is timing you out, Warren, because he believes, and I think he might have a point here, that you are making comments at us rather than engaging in conversations with anyone in the chat. And you're also kind of derailing things in the chat from what we're dealing with, which is Darth Dawkins and him, messing himself. So, yeah. Walking Chuka much. Oh, Pat's here. Good to see you, Pat. Happy Saturday. You missed most of it, but it's one of my Darth derangement hangouts, so you didn't miss much. He isn't driving. He's using the Wi-Fi at the local McDonald's. That could be it. Yeah. Yelling at atheists and it's okay. That makes sense. Yeah, because he had the ability to do the notifications. Well, now I feel bad for calling this driving Darth Dawkins. I should be driving Darth Dawkins mad. Let's see. It's likely Gary is living in his car, so it's likely he's parked at McDonald's or the library to vampire the Wi-Fi. I mean, it makes sense. And not something I wouldn't blame anyone for doing. I mean, that's one of those things that, if you're desperate, you do that. But you know what? Maybe don't sit in your car for hours vampiring the Wi-Fi for the purposes of what was it? What was he said? I don't have time for this teenage BS or something like that, when he clearly is using public access Wi-Fi to indulge in this teenage BS, as he calls it. Like, no one has ever lied to his face because he's a coward and will never show his face. Exactly. And I think the reason he has to is because if his face got out there and got around and he got notorious. Darth, I think, is at least clever enough to know that he is a public figure. Like I mentioned in my last, the one video I did about him being a public figure, the one group was like, well, we treat him like one. The only reason he's a public figure is because he gets his content, when it gets recorded, gets commented on by people like me and others. Tom Rabbit's obviously doing it, has built a small channel out of it. So have I. Following this guy around, watching him just kind of collapse with conversation. Like, he can't engage in just normal human conversations, watching this train wreck happen. If his face got plastered around, and it would, he knows that eventually his reputation would be even worse than it is now, because people would be able to connect a face with, his thoughts about Martin Luther King Jr., his thoughts about women, his thoughts about the LGBTQ community. He'd be persona non grata. And I think it's interesting. These guys are like, well, I know that I can go to these corners of the internet and present this kind of stuff here, but the rest of society will cancel me for having these views. And like, why is that? Like, well, it's because they're intolerant. Is it? Because most of the views that you're presenting are really intolerant. So I'm thinking maybe it's a self-defense mechanism on their part, because some of the groups you're going after them hard. So yeah, if you don't want that kind of pushback, maybe don't push them. Tilda, can you imagine just walking by Darth in the library parking lot? I can imagine that, yeah, and I can imagine also being surprised that maybe he's not wearing pants in the car. You know what I mean? Yeah. I am homeless and using the Starbucks Wi-Fi, but I'm also getting things done and being productive. Job hunting. Well, that's tough to hear. Yeah, I don't wish the homelessness thing on anybody. I have kind of been there. I've always had kind of family to back up off of, but I've been at that point in my life where I have not really had a steady place to kind of lay my head. So that sucks. I feel for you. I hope things turn out better for you. And yeah, I don't really blame Darth. I mean, if Darth is doing this at Discord or whatever, I guess that's my problem with it. Like, if you need to go and use Wi-Fi, you don't have Wi-Fi, you can't afford it. You got a phone. Most people need a phone. You're going to places like this and you're using their Wi-Fi, and you need to be able to just sit back for 30 minutes or whatever and listen to something just to calm down, veg out, take a little mental break. That I get that, but he's going to these places so he can spend hours on Discord getting worked up and yelling at people. Like, that's not a productive use of his time. And I'm wondering, maybe he's like, just doing that because he's just counting down the days until he can claim his Social Security or something. I really don't know. But yeah, Rodent, that sucks. I hope things improve for you. It's like MS Office is using a stolen code. Let's see here. Jeez, Pat. He's a public figure the same way as sex offenders are famous on the internet. In a way, yeah, we're all kind of putting up a bulletin board like, hey, if you see this guy in the wild, keep your distance. Yeah, see, Warren, that's a dumb thing. Didi is correct about MLK, but he uses his critique to discredit the whole civil rights movement by association. The thing is, he's not really right about MLK. He's engaging in a lot of conspiracy theories about MLK. I appreciate that you understand that he's just trying to tie MLK's, like, MLK was a philanderer and all these other things, and therefore by extension the civil rights movement by association is also just as hypocritical or corrupt, whatever he thinks MLK is. But I really don't get there. The problem that Darth seems to have an issue with facing is, why is he so interested in seeing the supposed corruption and hypocrisy in MLK based on reported, rumors of his activity? He's not willing to point that kind of a critical glance at someone he automatically respects, like Donald Trump. He's willing to excuse that behavior when it's been substantiated and admitted to by Trump. The same kind of behavior he believes that MLK engaged in. Why is that, do you think? And if he just thinks, well, MLK was just trying to jump on the bandwagon to gain popularity in a burgeoning civil rights movement, Darth doesn't understand how unpopular MLK Jr. was in polling. He was not a well-liked person, especially towards the end of his life. People were very worried about him. And by worried about him, I mean white people were very concerned about what was going on. There was enormous amount of racism surrounding the civil rights movement, MLK in general, and the push from the FBI to do that kind of stuff. So no, Didi's not right about MLK. He just isn't. His entire his starting point is wrong and hypocritical. Jason Martin, Darth would never go to Starbucks, too liberal. That's a good point. Yeah. Dustin, well, he can't claim his mom's social security anymore. It's not a claim, it's stealing. If that's what was going on. He was just flat out living off his mom while she was on social security. Yeah. And he's waiting for his to kick in. Let's see. Darth's biggest attack on MLK was that he's a communist that liked sex parties. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and he can't substantiate the sex parties or the communism, or the fact that there were rifts between certain factions of the civil rights movement and the communist groups, because being associated with each other made certain things for one or the other difficult in other groups. So there was a little bit of friction there. Darth just completely erodes that. None of that matters, because that's all nuance. He doesn't need to pay attention to that. Just like, oh, well, this guy was involved in left-wing groups and communist groups, and he was a big backer of MLK. Therefore, MLK is a not-so-secret communist, and he's out to destroy America. Okay. I mean, Darth is just repeating old propaganda from the feds from back then. Red Fang, it's because Trump is orange. Is orange like post-racial now? It might be. Yeah. Let's see. You've got him live on Discord. You want to join now? Hang on. Let's see. Copy. Okay, I posted the StreamYard link in the chat. So Jay, if you want to grab that. AJ, this is great. The biggest problem with communism is that nobody can afford to throw sex parties. Yeah, it's really what has kept enrollment down. Oh, we'll grab my headset, and this is going to turn into a 3-hour hang now. Yeah, real actual commies hate MLK for his pacifism. Just saying, yeah, that's a good point. I don't know how I'd call them the real commies, but the tanky types, yeah, the kind of militant ones, yeah, the pacifism thing was not something that they were cool about. So, that's cool. I've got 3 hours. I guess I do too. I mean, it's gloomy out right now today, so. Let's see. Let me drop this out of here. Wait for Jay to get in here. There he is. Hey, Jay, what's going on?
There we go.
Okay, so how are we going to share this? You got him on Discord now?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we only going to be able to listen to it? Because I don't know if I can share that screen.
Should be able to. I think I can share it. Hold on.
Dustin, yeah, you're not like Darth and have something better to do. I don't know that that's true, Dustin. I might be more like Darth, and I'm willing to admit I don't have anything better to do except indulge in my like. Although here's the thing: the difference is Darth will say he doesn't want that. He doesn't have time for that stuff, that teenage BS. I have time for Darth's BS. I take time for it. Hey, Midnight, what's up?
Hey, it's been a while.
Howdy.
How you guys been doing?
Oh, doing all right. Just yeah.
Did I
Ranting
watch
about Darth again.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
I've got it. I've got it up there. You just have to put it up, Jeff.
Add to stage. Okay.
Let me
Hopefully it's
undeafen. Is the audio coming through?
I don't hear anything. This is kind of what I was worried about.
You don't hear it at all?
I don't hear anything. Do you hear anything, Midnight?
no, I don't.
Yeah, I didn't think this was going to work.
I have another way.
At least not that way.
Oh, okay. I was wondering what they were doing over there. Hold on.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might want to mute yourself. We can hear Beth in the background.
Yeah, it's just I've got another way of doing this. Don't worry. No, I thought you did. Yep. Let's see who's on politics right there. Yeah, I just logged in with Chrome.
They're the Atheist Helpline, Darth's new favorite toy. Yeah, I don't know what mods he's working with. I'm really surprised that politics let him back on. I mean, they must have really corralled him because he doesn't seem to have the capacity to like ruin the server over there. AJ, I have no time for this atheist nonsense. Bring up the next atheist to the stage. Yeah, exactly. They're all liars. Let me talk to this liar. I won't talk to you lying liars. You just did.
Let's try that.
Okay. All right, let's add to stage. Okay.
Why not?
Sound.
Getting audio?
Because it would lead to a continuous paradox.
Here we go.
Yeah, you're
Yep, I can hear it.
taking the question there. Are you a theist?
No.
Now we might be able to hear it, but does the audience hear it? Is the audience able to hear anything coming from the?
Fair enough.
They should be able to because I'm sharing it through Chrome, just like you.
Oh, this is gonna get good.
What are you? Isn't it amazing? You just ask them what they are, and they just collapse.
I think his little modus ponens game is a cute little game to be like, I got Darth to agree and quantum fields.
They try.
Somebody needs to shoot that motherfucker out of a cannon.
Okay.
Is that Parakeet?
I think it is.
I can't really make out who's who, but
Gregory
somebody
made a big mistake to unnecessarily be rude and obnoxious and try to antagonize me. That was a mistake for him to do that.
It doesn't take anything to make him feel antagonized. Who's the dingus?
Always a good sound when you hear 3 or 4 people join at the same time, and I think to myself, these guys are definitely not trolls all joining at the same time to go antagonize.
I'm a big boy. I can stomach criticism. But if you think that I'm going to smile,
his favorite foods,
purposely trolling and antagonizing me simply for the purpose of being antagonistic, it's
his
not going to
foods
fly.
are things like egg salad, Popeyes, and Chick-fil-A. Yeah, I bet he is a big boy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the guy's a
Thing, how's it going?
earther. How absurd!
It's a going.
I think we're gonna have to cut this one off, Chad. This is pretty boring.
Yeah, it hasn't. He was talking with this individual, Potato, and Potato wrote something over here. They wrote, Christianity is based around the teachings of Jesus, the belief in him as the Messiah, the promised one, but he is not, and the Bible proves it. First, let's go to 2 Samuel 7:12.
Wait, don't hang on. I'm going to cut you off. Don't read this. Let's do this. Can you type in there? Do they allow you to type?
Yeah.
Tell Darth Dawkins to say hi to my audience. He's live right now.
I thought this was a video, not Discord live.
This is live right now.
Okay, wow. Okay, and also with a name like Potato, I wouldn't take that seriously. What is that?
Be prepared, Jay. You're probably going to get ousted, but I just want to hear what his reaction is.
Oh yeah, I just noticed Jay. Okay, I just noticed he's in there. Jay is in there.
Yeah, he's Pierre LaFaux there from Cowboy Bebop, right on the right-hand side.
The funny thing is, they know that the message that I'm presenting is true, but they don't want it to be true. So, like little children, they put their hands over their eyes. You can't find me, Daddy. You can't find me.
Jay, you're being too evasive. Tell him he's on my channel. I want him to say hi to my audience.
Not too long ago, Mr. Batman blew up on me and removed me as a friend.
Aw.
Well, he has had mental aberrations for many years now, so it's not a great loss.
Mental what?
I've been nothing but nice to that guy.
Well, that was your first mistake.
No, look, the guy's not playing with a full deck of cards.
Darth?
Yeah.
You know you're live on Jefferson's Spatchbox channel now?
Doesn't bother me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jefferson's an idiot.
Oh, Peter.
That also means one of those atheist moles are in here recording.
It could be Peter.
Well, that happens all the time. They have a Viagra-induced hate boner for me.
Viagra-induced.
You don't need to record if you're live on YouTube, do you?
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? He really has very little content of his own because nobody's interested in his stupid musings. So what he has to do is he has to, use, my, username to attract an audience. He's not very smart. Neither is his stupid brother. I like to refer to them as the Bobbsey twins.
He's doing it again.
He's doing it again. The Bobbsey twins.
Bobbsey twins. Look it up.
Hey, shots fired.
He demonstrated a long time ago that he was not very intelligent on these issues, and so that he would routinely resort to trolling tactics interacting with me, and he was told that if he didn't stop the trolling tactics, I wouldn't converse with him again. And ever since that time, when I told him I'm not talking with you anymore, not because he was disagreeing or challenging me, because he and his Bobbsey twin brother were just overtly engaging in verbal trolling tactics.
And yet I'm in there right now.
I'm done with you.
Yeah, you're right there.
And this has happened a couple of dozen times with some of these dumb atheists who think they're as smart as a whip. They're not.
To be fair, this is a little trolly, what we're doing right now. So.
Oh, yes, obviously, but still, this is hilarious. He sets himself up for it.
If somebody wants to advertise my conversations and me presenting the Christian worldview, somebody who's hostile to me live on their YouTube channel, great. More people who can hear me.
This is hostile?
No,
I've got more traction and more listeners from those who have a Viagra-induced hate boner for me than even the people, my friends and acquaintances.
Can I just point out how stupid it is to say Viagra? The reason it's called a hate boner is because the hate induces the boner.
But here's another guy, people.
Viagra with a hate boner.
Here's a guy who decided he was going to attack the Bible by saying that what Jesus said didn't come true. And then when I pointed, had he just read the next couple of verses, he would have realized his absolute blunder. And did he apologize? No. He just became obscene.
Obscene.
Remember that, Peter?
Oh, Peter. By the way, hello, Peter.
Dead silence.
Peter might not be able to talk in my room because I think his mic might be tied into.
Hold on. I think. Am I muted? No,
No, you're good.
No, you're good here.
I'm in so many rooms
think of
right
the look
now.
on their face when
What to
their
figure
heart
out.
stops. Okay. And they're going to go, oh shit, what did I do? God is not mocked.
Sorry, Darth.
You will
I didn't
allow
hear
you
exactly
to
what you
lie
said.
to
What
yourself,
was your
to
question?
deceive yourself, and to rebel against him for a short period of time. And then, as my dad would say, at the dinner table, I'm going to lower the boom.
Can you guys hear me?
As a figure of speech.
He's going to lower the what?
His dad used to say lower. So he was abused as a kid. He's admitted that he was abused. This is truly sad and disturbing.
Yeah.
His dad would lower the. That's not cool. Does Darth not realize that's not good?
Right? They can just continue to fool themselves like little children that, their damnation isn't secure, which it is.
Huh? What the
How
hell was
do you
that?
know?
That doesn't make sense.
That didn't make any sense.
No, is that God has revealed it in a self-authenticating manner.
A self-authenticating
Because if we do not accept that the mind of God is supreme and the ultimate origin for the knowledge of anything, then there won't be metaphysical grounds to know anything.
So metaphysical grounds rely on
God has revealed it. All you're saying is, I read the Bible and I believe what it says, right? Okay. Okay, so let's get to that. So what do you mean? No. What do you mean when you said God revealed it? Sure.
Hey Jay, we can't hear Darth anymore.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Fine.
Now, are you in the
there he
least
is.
bit apologetic for being obscene toward me in our encounter?
Yes, I have been a little bit obscene at times.
A little bit.
Darth, we're both
We're
old enough.
kicked in 5.
Aren't we old enough
four.
to be able to
I
take a
just want
joke?
the audience to know what. I just want the audience to have a little preview of what your character is like. So we'll drop that, okay? Since you,
I'm a fun guy.
So let's
I'm
make
a fun
it clear.
guy.
What I am advancing, and I'm going to shut up in a
Oh,
second.
I've missed you, Peter.
What I am advancing is the concept referred to as the supremacy of the mind of God.
Oh, he's getting
and
into
how
a
he
theology.
reveals it.
Sweet.
Okay.
Okay.
Go.
Okay.
But didn't he tell somebody the other day that?
But you'll
don't
have to
it doesn't
explain
need
that
to be
to me
revealed
because
to you?
that was my question. What does that mean? What does
In
that
that
entail?
conversation that I recorded with that other guy,
What
didn't he
that
say
means
that doesn't have to
is
happen?
that the self-existent, ultimate self-contained creator,
He
God,
flip-flops on that.
whose mind would be ontologically by default is supreme, has taken the initiative in creation and through human history, codified in the Bible, that his mind is supreme and all other things are derivative and subservient to his mind.
So how do
They
you
are of his
know
mind. How
that
are they
there is a
subservient
creation?
of his mind?
Where
Obviously,
did you get that from?
I'm looking around me.
Okay, I'm looking around
Oh.
me as well, but I don't see a creation. I just see the natural world.
Okay. So what you're doing is you're simply making a counterclaim, aren't you?
No, I'm just saying what I.
Okay. Did everybody just see the dog poop he just stepped into? He doesn't even realize it.
Oh.
You are making a counterclaim.
No, he's making a claim based on what he sees. He's not seeing what you're seeing, Darth. That's not a counterclaim. That's you claim that you can look around and you see God. He's saying I'm looking around and I don't see God. Okay, so now you have to reconcile why is it I can see God when I look around versus when Peter looks around and sees no God. Oh my God.
Or you will adopt the proposition, which is the negation, that the world does not
Hang on, I think I'm in there.
unambiguously reveal God.
Yeah, you're in there.
Maybe he's saying that.
You don't. Please do not interrupt. He doesn't have to explicitly state it, but it is inherent and inescapable. If you do not accept,
from your point of view, it is.
No, sir. If you do not accept that the world unambiguously reveals God, you will be adopting the position that the world is ambiguous in reference to God.
Huh?
That's not necessarily a problem.
I have to assert that
with Peter right now. If you other
Right, but
people
you're not making any sense. This is just you're setting up a false dichotomy in a strange
Well,
binary.
here's Jefferson's Patchback. Here's the man in question.
The man in
Darth,
question.
Oh, Darth, let me try and explain.
Maybe, yeah, I'll let you speak in a second. There might be some pre-programs.
Oh, you
for
already got
you
muted,
to
Jeff.
get cured of your addiction of all
might as
those
well leave. He's not
Viagra-induced
gonna
popping
be
sessions where you
cured.
have a hate boner for me, Jefferson. You're not very smart. You have a long history of
He's going
being
right
a
back
little
over the same
troll
thing
like
again.
a 15-year-old when
I'm
you were
just,
a man.
I'm just wondering if he's
and
gonna.
you blew your
Peter, can you let him
opportunity.
know that I'm going to assume that what he means by that is that I have balls.
Yourself in an adult manner, even when we disagree, and you decided you just wanted to be a little teenage contrarian. Okay, so I'm done with you. You're not very smart. And just hey, Peter, just give me a second while I
I'm sorry for interrupting.
remove him.
Before.
Yeah, please wait your turn.
And Jefferson gets kicked.
That was quick.
I have all the time in the world. Well, not all the time. I've got about an hour.
Well, Tom Rabbit has all the time in the world.
Yeah, I don't. I have a life. Sorry, it's difficult at times, but I mean, also fun.
Peter should just
I was
tell him
just
there's
apologizing.
2
I'm
women
sorry
waiting on me to
for
use my
interrupting before I didn't
Viagra
realise
hate-induced boner on
that
them.
it's a one-on-one.
Usually, when Darth is talking to someone, it's a one-on-one.
Understood. I won't do it again. Sorry.
No worries.
Oh,
I'm done.
did you leave, Jeff, or were you?
No, it's
yeah, it's
not
on
a
some kind of tempo
problem.
ban.
It's just not
Wow.
That's creepy. It puts you in.
I only have an hour. I only
you
have
mute
an
it for
hour.
a second,
So
Jay?
let me explain what I said. What I may be able to clarify it a little bit. So when I look around me, I see the natural world. I see no reason to assume that this was created, and that's where you and I differ.
Okay, so you are looking at the world qualified without referencing the necessity of God.
Why would you?
Yes.
You assume that.
I see no reference. I see no necessity
Here
for
you are
Babies look
going,
at the world without
I'm
referencing
explaining
God.
it. I'm explaining it.
Does he think a
You
baby
just-
sees
you
the
just
world
did.
by referencing God?
We're going to have a
I-
conversation here.
Yes.
We're going to have a conversation here.
I'm going to
What
mute
you are doing is
Peter's
typically
mic
what
in here
most
so we can.
atheists do, right? You are trying to smuggle in your atheism without identifying it as atheism. Okay, that the natural world is simply just a given. Now, the
without
world
being
around
insulting,
us,
Darth.
please do not interrupt me. Please do not repeat your bad behavior of the past. Now,
go ahead.
Wow, he's being really gracious with Peter. He wasn't so gracious with you, Jeff.
No, yeah. Well, because remember, Peter got something about the Bible wrong. And so Darth's gonna play with him. Notice what he said. He just thought I was being a contrarian. But he didn't say I got anything about the Bible wrong. He didn't mention anything specific. He just doesn't like my attitude. Actually, I've been told, I've heard he doesn't like the sound of my voice.
Oh,
the feeling's mutual.
I've been told that too.
What I just said.
No, I don't want to dispute that. What I'm
okay, so
trying
you
to,
are
what
adopting.
I'm trying to explain is
so
with
let's
your
make it clear
position
as to what your position is. You are invoking the world without the necessity of referencing the necessity of God. Is that your position?
Why would anybody need to reference the necessity of God when seeing things the way they are, when just seeing things? What does that even mean, Jeff? Please tell me what the fuck that means.
And
I don't
he's
have to
assuming
reference.
that his God exists.
I don't have to reference all the people that designed the shit and stamped the metal that made my car in order to say that's my car.
Exactly. I'm gonna pull that because I'm gonna get going. Michael, I apologize. I do want to talk with you because we haven't done a show together in a while, but I do got to get going. So yeah, let's wrap that one up there and let Peter do his thing over there because it sounds like Darth's gonna let him. So let's let Peter drive him nuts. So if anybody knows how to get over to Discord, I've been removed. It was weird. They put me in the Discord version of the Sunken Place for a bit, and then I was just like, whatever, just cancel Discord. I got to get going.
Jay could always go live if you want.
That's true. You could. Yeah, definitely do it.
I could. Yeah. Maybe I will.
Give Peter a way to, yeah. So after party over at Jay's channel if Jay's got time. So thank you everybody for being here. Jay, also, if you do send, if Michael's got time, because it sounds like he does, definitely send Michael a link to yours if you guys are going to hang out. And
I think I think I've got. Well, I see him. Actually, I see him. Is that him? Is he currently in there right now as the Canadian Atheist?
Yeah, Michael, the Canadian Atheist. Yeah, he's in there right now. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll send him a link.
Yeah, shoot him a link, and obviously Peter, Midnight, and Red Fang too. Thanks guys for joining on. This was fun. This is fun to like point out. And props to Darth Dawkins. He didn't flinch at all. He's like, oh whatever. They like the pulsar. Like, thank you, Grandpa Eeyore, for being so energetic today. So high energy. Let him know. I'm thinking about his
dance, monkey, dance.
Let him know if you get a chance. Anybody, if you get a chance, let him know that I'll be dreaming about his hate boners from me. So
don't you mean his Viagra boners?
His Viagra boners for me. He takes Viagra so that he can think about me. Yeah, tell him I appreciate the thought. Maya, thanks for this one. Party at Jay's. Okay, let me tag that one there. But yeah, I got to get on the road because I'm going to be heading down to the folks. It's been a while since I've seen them since the COVID hit. So. Well, I was going to try to do that, but it's not letting me. Stupid YouTube. Jesus, blanked out. Okay. I'm going to wrap this up. Jay, get your thing set up, I guess. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Great show. Dustin, thanks to the Bob's twins. Yep, appreciate that. And yeah, go check out Jay's channel if you want to see him capture some live shenanigans from Darth and crew. Hopefully, Peter's over there driving him nuts. And I just encourage, everybody to be good and nice to each other. I'm going to unmute Peter. Oh, I think Peter's still talking. Peter, you didn't get kicked out, did you?
And the conclusion.
Always got it here.
Will depend upon.
Yeah, he's still in there talking. Okay. All right, folks. This was a lot of fun. All right. See you all later. See you for the next one. Probably going to be covering more Darth. I got a few more things to catch up on. So everybody have a great weekend. I will catch you next time. Maya, I'll probably be shooting you. I did shoot you a response. I'm sorry I missed it. It was a little late. You gave me sent something yesterday on Discord. Was wondered, I don't know what you have planned for your Sunday hang, but I should be around for it if you want me to join. If not, I understand that too. So thanks, everybody.
Can you repeat that real quick? My dog.
Yeah, I think he's still in that discussion with him. Okay, so sorry for the confusion, folks. This got really meta really quickly. So
great.
That's fantastic.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, and yeah, go check out Jay's channel if you want to see this more. We're gonna get out of here. Thanks everybody. Thanks everybody that jumped in. Yeah, take care. See ya.